I will be talking about FCS educators. The reason I picked this project was because my mom is an FCS teacher and she's always been a big inspiration and big part of my life. I remember when I was a kid and I would watch her and do hospitalities for teachers all over the school. And right now she's working in a makeshift kitchen due to construction, and you can just smell it down the hall, and it's amazing. And you can just see kids and they're like, oh, what is that amazing smell? I can smell that. And they're like, what are they doing? And then you tell them and they're like, I want to do that class. So we end up getting joined. The first thing I did with my lesson, I started off with my planning process. My planning process started off with me identifying my concern. My concern was that there's a big shortage of FCS teachers, and being me, I want to make a stand on the world and impact the world somehow, and I was like, that would be the best idea for me right now. My goal was to learn how to become a successful FCS teacher, to find information on post-secondary options, interviewing current FCS teachers, observing teachers, and creating and implementing my own lesson plan. My formal plan. My plan was to complete research on 3 universities with FCS education programs, interviewing 2 FCS teachers, observing 2 teachers, 1 FCS teacher, 1 CTE teacher, and creating and implementing my own lesson plan in a nutrition class, and determining how to integrate FCCLA into 3 different courses. During my 9th period nutrition and child development classes. In November, I finished the planning process and finished my research. In December, I completed my interviews and observations. And in January, I finished my project by the end of the month, and in February, I put my board together and I practiced. Where during my class at school. I will send an email to Mr. Garcia, ask him if I can interview him. I will also do the same for Miss Ivy, Miss Edders, and Miss Aparicio if I can interview them or do a classroom observation. During class, I will research information about the schools and learn about FCCLA national programs. I will also work with Miss Ivy to create a lesson plan that I can teach during her lifetime nutrition class. The cost, very minimal, school will cover the rest. My resources, Mr. Garcia, Miss Edders, Miss Aparicio, and Miss Ivy will be great resources to help me with all the questions that I have about the world. They were amazing to help me. The first thing I did was I did my schools. But first off, there's only approximately 350 educators that actually teach FCCLA or FCS in the state. By 2024, there will be a 5.4% growth rate in our state. The beginner salary is $33,660. Also, our state salary is $57,091 right now. But school districts can add on if they would like. Then we have for them to maintain their certificate, we need 150 hours, and that is a span over 5 years. Now, the schools I looked up were Texas Tech, Lamar University, and Texas Women's University. These schools were great choices because they were schools about FCS education programs. But all these schools, there's about a $10,000 to $33,000 cost for each school. Also, each school has a bachelor's degree in FCS education with their certificate. And also, you need at least a 2.0 to get into each of these schools. Now, the next thing I did was my interviews. I interviewed Mr. Larry Garcia from Dimmitt High School, and then I interviewed Ms. Christy Aparicio from Stephenville High School. What I got out of Mr. Garcia's interview was that he just kept talking about community service, being very strong into the community, and you can tell that his community was impacted by his FCCLA program. That's what I want to do. And then for Ms. Aparicio, I learned that just being an inspiration to kids and making them be able to be successful in the future is better than a paycheck. Also, for my observations, I did Miss Wendy Ivy from Stephenville, Texas, and Miss Jocelyn Edders from Stephenville, Texas. From Miss Ivy's class, I learned how the hands-on experience is the best way to teach, especially for culinary, when you can just like learn how to cut up an onion or something, and it's just something that will stay with you for the rest of your life. For Miss Edders, she's also a CTE teacher. She's also our DECA supporter, and everything. And for her, I learned how that keeping engaged with the students and making sure that they keep the ball rolling, yet they're allowed to go down a few rabbit holes, but you can pull them back into and explain why that's important. The next thing we did was our national programs. I did financial fitness, community service, and human body. Now for community service, I decided to do for community service, I was given, for their activity, I would be giving them where there would be a group of 4 students, and they would come up with an idea, and they would present it to their teacher. Whichever idea was the best for community service, that's class, sometime on like a weekend or something, would go and they would actually do that community service. The next one I did was student body, where it's supposed to learn about responsibility choices, both physical and mentally. And the activity I decided to do that was for milk comparison, where you can try different milks, you can see which one you like better. Then you can also say, hey, I know that you're lactose intolerant, what about soy milk? I know you don't like almond milk, what about soy milk? Giving out suggestions for them. The next one I did was financial fitness. For financial fitness, it's learning how to earn, spend, save, and save responsibly. The activity I decided to do was for the students to be in groups of 4 or less, and they would make their own dream vacation, but they had a budget and they had a checklist to go off of, like, what hotel are you going to stay at? You can only stay at this certain amount of hotels. And the next thing I did was my lesson plan. For my lesson plan, I did a milk comparison. This was one of my favorite lessons from last semester when I was in nutrition. And for this, we did, we tried buttermilk, soy milk, almond milk, lactose-free milk, skim milk, whole milk, 1% milk, and 2% milk. Each student would get a cup, and then we would hand out another cup, and the students would pour that kind of milk that they wanted to try, and they would do it off of a scale of 1 to 5. Now, the next thing we did was for activity, we brought up students up to the front, and they would decide, they would try to figure out if it's soy milk or whole milk or whatever kind of milk they're trying to figure out. The next one we did was a milk comparison contrast, where each student would try each different milk and they would rate it from a scale of 1 to 5. The next one we did was a national information for milk. This was off of the milk comparison worksheet, where they would find out the nutrition value of whole milk, soy milk, and almond milk. These students would try it and they would decide what nutritional value is, and instead of just looking it up, we read it off to them, such as in these pictures of me reading it off. And the toughest part about this lesson for me, or in general as a whole, was just organization and time management. And then the next one was my favorite part, was just how I'm going to use this experience, is because I want to go to Texas Tech, and I want to be an FCCLA teacher and teach what all these great teachers do, and I want to inspire them, yet have them accountable for their own work. And that's what I want to do. The reason I want to go to Texas Tech is because it has the most advanced classes in FCCLA. Thank you.